Alrighty, welcome back, guys. It's time to talk about the Stanley Cup Finals. 2026 has concluded. The Carolina Hurricanes win the Stanley Cup. They do so on Donald Trump's 80th birthday. And it's been an up and down year for the Stanley Cup Finals for me. I knew coming into the season it was going to be synced up with the Kennedy assassination, which it was. And I also knew that my initial thought was Dallas, because I thought Dallas would reach the Stanley Cup, get that first cup in 27 years, as well as getting their 149th playoff win to make the finals when Kennedy was born on the 149th day of the year. That ended up not happening. And Carolina, which you guys, if you were on my Patreon, you remember me saying this. I had a bet initially on Dallas and Carolina to meet in the finals because I didn't have the winner because I knew this series was tight. Well, would have been tight. But my initial thought was Carolina because we knew they were a contending team in the East. And I said Raleigh, North Carolina in Gematria is 109, and it's the 109th NHL season. Jordan Stahl, right, who's born on 10/9, the 37-year-old, which I should have known for the Conn Smythe Trophy. We'll get to that. That was the one thing in my prediction video. I was like, well, they're probably going to give it to who? Frederick Anderson because of the death of Claude Lemieux. But I overlooked the fact that Jordan Stahl was 37 years old. I should have known, the guy that's really not even a goal scorer, and then he turns into Wayne Gretzky in the Stanley Cup final. Go figure. But, the Stanley Cup, in my opinion, I think some years they drop the clue far later than they do early on. My whole goal is just to try to get people to be able to win some money. In order to do that, you got to make a prediction early in the season. You can't just waiting until the Stanley Cup final. That's just no fun, right? Carolina was a favorite. You're not going to win any money off of that at the end of the day. I could do that and then just say, hey, guys, look, I called the Stanley Cup final right again. But to me, waiting until you got to shoot your shot early in the year. You got to look for a narrative and try to build that. But I knew I was fucked in the conference final because I said, you know what, Colorado Avalanche, if they win the cup, they're going to do it for the Colorado will get their 168th playoff win. Montreal Canadiens is 168th. They're going to have a favorite and an underdog win. As soon as the death of Kyle Busch happened, I knew I was fucked. Because I said, I know that is clearly synced up with the NHL. I said, I know he's from Las Vegas. He died in North Carolina. That means Vegas is going to be in the finals. And every time there's a death like this connected to one of the teams, we automatically know they're going to lose. It's always synced up with them losing. So I looked into that and I was like, son of a bitch, man. I said, that means Vegas is going to win. They're not going to have Montreal in there. They're not going to have both underdogs win. It's going to be Vegas and Carolina. And I just – because he's born. Okay, let's just go through this real quick. So, what do you think about my bet? I always, like I said, I had that wager on Dallas and Carolina. You guys saw my bet slip on BetMGM. I put $100 on it. Didn't end up coming through, right? But I placed this bet. I thought Carolina would cover today because they blew out Florida in 2023. Okay, that is going to make me log back in here, but. They blew out Florida, and I thought, okay, they're probably going to return the favor, and they're going to have Carolina. They're going to have Carolina return the favor against them here. So I got my bet. The reason it says location can't be verified is because I can't download the plugin because I'm on Chromebook, so I have to use FanDuel on my phone. But yeah, I thought Carolina would cover. I thought Denny Hamlin would win the NASCAR race. Stay tuned for that. I'm going to show you why Denny Hamlin won this race. NASCAR, if you can call the winner, you can get some pretty good odds. 200-1 isn't great, but if you can throw a parlay together, the reason I picked France is, well, if you remember back to 2018, we had the Asians stuck in the cave in Thailand. Now we got the Asians stuck in the cave in Laos. Laos is a territory that was controlled by the French right at the time of the World Cup. Is that a sign France is going to win? Hey, why not? Shoot your shot, right? That's why I like to bet small. I'll take the $2,600 payout, right? The cash out is actually available. It's offering me over $400, but again, because it can't verify my location unless I'm on my phone, it won't bring up the cash out. But let's get into this. So Kyle Busch, R.I.P. to him. I knew I was fucked as soon as he died. I was like, yep, where it's going to be Vegas and Carolina. Born in Las Vegas, dead in North Carolina. on May 21st, the date of game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Carolina lost that game to Montreal, and then they pretty much wasted him the rest of the series. So he died at age 41. Notice how the Carolina Hurricanes, they stay on 82 losses. Vegas Golden Knights is 82. This is the last season of 82 games in the NHL before they move to the 84-game schedule next year. Like I said, May 2nd, that's the 122nd day of the year. Carolina gets their 122nd playoff win. I knew that was coming as soon as Bush died, and they did so in their 235th game, which is why I said on the Stanley Cup preview video, not my conference final preview, why I thought it's probably ending in Game 6 on Donald Trump's birthday, his 80th birthday. So Stanley Cup Finals 235, Vegas Golden Knights 82. They also get their 23rd playoff series win as the Hurricanes. Las Vegas is 23. They do it in Las Vegas. And, of course, it's also the 23rd World Cup going on right now. Spain and France are the favorites. Spain equals 23. Vegas, notice how they fall to 15-7 in playoff series, right? 15-7, a lot like the number 157. 157 is the 37th prime number. When Bush died, I thought they were going to do one of two things. I said they're either going to have Vegas win in 5 games or sweep them. I said because Bush died on 5-2, if they sweep Colorado, which they did, I said they'll absolutely get their 52nd playoff loss in the Stanley Cup Final. The plural Hurricane is also 52. Bush born on 5-2, the 122nd day of the year, while Carolina gets their 122nd playoff win. Las Vegas NV is also 122, the abbreviation for Las Vegas, Nevada. Of course, they won the Stanley Cup in Las Vegas, Nevada. Or I said they could end up with their 53rd playoff loss if Colorado wins one. Stanley Cup and Hurricanes is 53. Of course, we saw the Knicks in the NBA end the 53-year championship drought since 73. Carolina is 73 in the simple way. I should have known better in the conference final when I looked at the death of Troy Murray. I was like, you know what? I should just wait until the Stanley Cup final. But I'm like, no, the people on Patreon, they're paying me to put out a pick. They're paying for me to put out information. I don't put out a lot on there. And I do try to be more active, but it is tough. It is tough. Let me know if you guys want to see some more NASCAR. I mean, we could attempt to look at this. I'll show a little bit more about the Denny Hamlin bet in a second here, so stay tuned for that. But, yeah, look at the gematria of Las Vegas, Nevada, right? 122-32. The Carolina wins the Cup 32 days before Claude Lemieux's birthday. Claude Lemieux dead on the 148th day of the year. Vegas loses Game 6 to fall to 14-8 in the playoffs. 58's a number that connects to championships. So it was pretty clear, right? Claude Lemieux, born July 16th. That's a date written 16/7, like 167, the 39th prime number. The Kennedy assassination was on the day leaving 39 days left in the year. This was the 167th time the Stanley Cup will be awarded. 131 championships, 131. 131's the 32nd prime number. So it made a lot of sense, right? Claude Lemieux. This is what screwed me in the in my conference or my pick for the Conn Smythe. Here, you can take a screenshot of that and drag me through the coals on it if you want. Hey, you got to shoot your shot, man. But notice Frederick Anderson. He was born October 2nd, 1989. And from his birthday to Claude Lemieux's, to the day Claude Lemieux died is 238 days, like Conn Smythe Trophy. Claude Lemieux, of course, won the Conn Smythe Trophy in 95 with the New Jersey Devils. And Frederick Anderson was one of his clients. And maybe that was a tell that he was going to get punked and it wasn't going to be Anderson. Anderson's got to sit out and say, here, Claude, you keep the Conn Smythe while I don't get one. We'll give it to 37-year-old Jordan Stahl. But, yeah, Claude Lemieux dead at age 60, right? Donald Trump won the 60th presidential election. Carolina wins the Cup on Donald Trump's birthday. Remember July 16th, that's the 197th day of the year. Stanley Cup Finals is 197. 197 is the 45th prime number. Donald Trump was number 45. Now he's number 47. Carolina wins the Cup in their 47th season. Their 46th season of play. Vegas Golden Knights in the most simple cipher is 199, the 46th prime number. Like you say, Las Vegas is 23. Las Vegas won the Cup in 23. Carolina got their 23rd playoff series win. Like I say, Lemieux dead on the 148th day of the year. At age 60, synced up with the 60th presidential election where they fall to 14-8 in the season. Carolina 40. You always got to screenshot Wikipedia because we know Wikipedia, how they like to edit shit. So yeah, again, in light of it being Donald Trump's birthday, remember he's number 47, Carolina in their 47th season, president authority, Republican 47, Democrats also 47, so's government, so's White House, so's DC, the list goes on and on. So the Stanley Cup was won by Carolina 204 days after the Kennedy assassination. So yeah, like I say, I'll here before we get into NASCAR, you want to know my pick for next year? Let me just throw this out there, right? Whoops, let me get the right city. Minnesota, 110, right? We know they're beefing up that team. Kaprizov, Boldy, Quinn Hughes, that goaltender they have, they're all in the prime of their career, right? Does Minnesota win the Cup in the 110th season? Do they get that 57th win? We know 57's a number that connects to championships historically. Right now they're on 41 playoff wins. And again, Minnesota as a state, they haven't won a championship in what will be 37 years next year in 2027, right? Keep an eye on the Minnesota Wild next season. Usually when I throw out something like this, like Colorado in 2022, where I'm like, oh yeah, Florida's on 25 playoff wins, they'll absolutely win the Stanley. They'll absolutely make the Stanley Cup final next year and get their 37th win. And what do? They come back from down 3-1 when they pay like 80-1 to win the Eastern Conference against the best regular season team ever, the 2022-23 Boston Bruins. It's like, I'm always right when I do that, and then your brain doesn't allow you to make the right pick as the season progresses and you try to get too cute. I think it's all self-inflicted, man. I'm a creator, so I'm never going to sit here and say, oh, they flipped the script, or, well, they have a plan A and a plan B, and they're going to flip the script on you because they want to be able to paint you as a conspiracy theorist. I doubt that. At the end of the day, they're going to do that anyway. So like, what's the point? If I sit here and say, oh, well, they just went with plan B or over plan A with Colorado, it's a thought. It's a theory. You can't call it a conspiracy theory because you can't prove that they're not doing it, but you also can't prove that they are doing it. So I don't believe in the whole narrative around, well, there's a plan A and a plan B. Most of the time when I hear people say that, all I really hear is losers complaining about losing. At the end of the day, you always have to bet smart. You got to take your chances. And you know what? Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Maybe I'll win here. I'll take the 2,600. I mean, maybe we'll get lucky with France, right? But getting to the Denny Hamlin piece, like we say, 37-year-old Jordan Stahl gets it done. I just want to make sure that I have everything right in this video. So check this out, right? Denny Hamlin wins at Pocono for his third straight win. What's interesting about this with Denny Hamlin? Let me bring this up. The last NASCAR driver prior to Denny Hamlin doing this, on Trump's birthday, right? Donald Trump's 80th birthday, right? The last driver to do this, to win 3 in a row, was Tyler Reddick, who drives the number 45 car. Remember, Donald Trump was number 45 and number 47. He won the first 3 races of this NASCAR season, right? And it ended on, his streak ended, he won his 3rd consecutive race on March 1st, which is the 60th day of the year, right? Like how Donald Trump equals 60. He won the 60th presidential election. Then Denny Hamlin, he wins. There's this person I don't know why this person's like hanging out by my car over there. Sorry. Just make sure no funny business is going on. I am in the city of Butler, after all. I mean, there's a reason why this town tried to kill the president. But anyway, then on Donald Trump's birthday, Denny Hamlin wins his 3rd straight race. Not only does he win his 3rd straight race, but he passed Kyle Busch by getting his 64th all-time win in the NASCAR Cup Series. Okay, 64 is the 45th composite number, synced up with number 45, Donald Trump, right? And well, there goes that. Hang on. Okay. So in light of this is the beauty of NASCAR too. If you can figure out these narratives, you got an opportunity to possibly win some decent money. NASCAR 2-1 odds ain't great, but NASCAR a lot of times you can get even 2-3-1 odds, even bet a guy to finish in the top 3, the top 5. You don't even necessarily need to call the winner. But Denny Hamlin now has 64 wins in NASCAR. Like I said, is the 45th composite number. Now check this out. I'm going to ask Google AI this. Because this is where I found this out when I was researching this. I said, what in the world is going on here? I don't know how that came on the screen. Who was the last NASCAR driver to win from the pole position at, how do you spell Pocono? Pocon. Is that how you spell that? I don't know if that's how you spell Pocono. Prior to Denny Hamlin. Okay, let's see what it says. See if it brings up the same thing or if it's going to troll me right now. Kyle Busch. See this? Kyle Busch was the last NASCAR driver on July 30th when he did it, 2017. He was the last driver to win from the pole position. And when Denny Hamlin qualified on the pole, and I thought, man, the last guy to do it was Tyler Reddick, who drives the number 45. He did it on the 60th day of the year, synced up to Trump. Now Hamlin can win 3 in a row on Trump's birthday. When the last driver to win from the pole position, like how Hamlin was on the pole position, was Kyle Busch. So the same day that Vegas is probably going down in the Stanley Cup final to Carolina. So if you can hit this stuff, you can win some decent money off of it. We'll see if France comes through for me. But, yeah, I mean, this was everything I had talked about before. I talked about how the series could end on Trump's 80th birthday. We know all about that. And this is, everything that I mentioned already. So I think that's it, guys. We'll see what happens with Minnesota next year. I don't know if I'm going to put out another video on the Stanley Cup. Might just say, you know what, let's wait and see what happens. So, I will talk to you guys soon. Until next time.